job. I can't talk right now. I'm on live.
Every time I see Monique these days, she's on doing some greasy ass video with her and her daddy complaining about something.
People who felt like I felt, all these multi-men, spoke up and said something.
Internet can't stop talking. DL Hughley, known for his sharp tongue and never back down attitude, was left speechless, live on air, in front of millions. The energy in the room shifted so fast it felt like time stopped. Cameras were rolling, mics were hot, and then it happened. Katt Williams and Boosie
knockout. He told. You see what I'm saying? So even if I made it deceitful and I made you think that the answer's over here, but the answer is really over here.
All the time with everybody called Would You Rather. She apparently was so offended by that she said she got off, she called me. Monique did, and she said I was very dismissive, like, Monique's a liar. How somebody who has a comedian talks as everybody else that she does, she has to marry.
Two of the most unfiltered voices in entertainment, turned that calm studio into a verbal battlefield. Whispers started before the clip even ended. Was this a real confrontation or just performance gone wrong? Nobody knew. All anyone could feel was the tension. Boosie's voice cut through the air first, raw and unbothered. Katt followed, every line sharper than the last. The audience didn't laugh, they gasped. DL, usually the one delivering the final word.
Mistake is saying yes to you. I should have said no when you couldn't come on my radio show. I should have said no that I wasn't playing those dates. As a matter of fact, almost anybody who says yes to you at some point is in this milieu with you. Almost anybody. So I would suggest anybody out there, you can say yes to George, say no to Monique.
Monique been telling y'all, black women are being underpaid. She been telling y'all women are being underpaid. People start opening their mouth up.
Word froze mid-sentence, his trademark confidence cracking on live feed. Phones went up, streams exploded, and within minutes, hashtags were trending across every platform. Fans say they've never seen him this quiet. This caught off guard. Some call it karma. Others say it's a setup. But one thing's for sure, the culture hasn't stopped replaying that moment since. This isn't just another comedy clash. It's a public takedown that no one saw coming, and it's only getting messier. The studio lights felt hotter than usual.
To his show, and when I was leaving his show, I thought he threw me some weed in the car because it was wrapped up in a towel. But it was $15,000, bro. I get emotional talking about it.
Like even they could sense the storm that was about to unfold. DL sat back in his chair, arms crossed, calm, collected, convinced he had the room. He'd been through countless interviews, debates, and tense moments before. But this one carried a strange silence in the air. The kind that comes before something unforgettable. Cameras were rolling, producers whispered behind the scenes, and the chat section on the live stream was already lighting up with fans eager to see what would happen next. Katt Williams, sharp-eyed and smirking, leaned forward with that mischievous glint he was known for. Boosie sat beside him, restless, tapping his fingers on the table, looking like a man waiting for the right second to strike. It started with laughter, a joke, harmless on the surface, but soaked in the kind of sarcasm that made everyone shift in their seats. DL aimed a playful shot at Katt's old controversies, something about his eccentric interviews and unpredictable comments. Katt smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. Boosie caught it instantly, and his grin disappeared. The mood shifted. It wasn't about comedy anymore. It was about respect. Boosie leaned into the mic and said in that gravelly tone, "You talk too much, big man. You forget who really built this culture." The audience laughed nervously, unsure whether to clap or stay quiet. DL raised an eyebrow, his voice steady. "Brother, I just call it like I see it. If the truth hurts, maybe it's not the truth that's the problem." Katt tilted his head like a cat ready to pounce. "Truth?" he said softly. "You mean your truth? The one where you get to sit in that chair and act like you above all this?" Boosie leaned forward, adding fuel. "You've been judging everybody for years like you the teacher and we the students. Nah, tonight you getting graded." The audience erupted. Even the cameraman's hands trembled a little as the lens zoomed in closer on DL's face. For the first time, he didn't laugh. his usual charm gone. His confident posture started to crack. Just slightly, but enough for everyone to notice. He opened his mouth to respond, but Katt was faster. "You had a lot to say about Monique, didn't you?" Katt fired off. "You said she was bitter. You said she needed to stop complaining. But now that the game turning on you, I don't see that same energy." Boosie nodded like he'd been waiting for that line all night. "Yeah, tell him, Katt. Man been preaching for years but can't take what he dishes out." The tension was thick. Dull rubbed his chin, buying time, but Boosie wasn't done. "You remember when you said rappers are the reason the youth lost its morals? But who made money off those same interviews? Who kept calling us clowns while you cashed in off our names?" Boosie's voice got louder. "You can't build your platform off disrespect and then cry when the same culture talk back." Katt just smiled, adding softly, "He thought being educated made him untouchable." Now look, interview 244, 259, there was a pause. Long, heavy, and electric. Dell finally leaned forward, his tone sharp but controlled. "You both finished?" he said, trying to bring back his authority. Boosie laughed hard. "Nah, we just getting started." The audience went wild. The chat exploded. People started choosing sides live. Team Katt, Team Boosie, Team DL. Social media was already chopping the clips, posting them in real time. It was no longer a talk show. It was a war of words, and the world was watching. Dull tried to steer the conversation back. "Look, I don't hate anybody. I just speak facts," he said. Katt leaned back, folding his arms. "Facts without compassion ain't wisdom. You talk down to people, then call it truth." Boosie nodded again, this time quieter, more serious. "You forgot what struggle looked like. You left it behind and started judging the ones still living it." The air felt heavy. No one laughed. No one clapped. It was like every word hung in the air, refusing to disappear. Katt's voice softened. "See, DL, people like you don't get canceled. You get exposed, not by the media, but by the energy you put out." DL blinked, like the words hit deeper than he wanted to admit. He looked down for a second, then back up. "So that's what this is? You two rehearsed this little act to make a moment?" Boosie snapped instantly. "Nah, this ain't no act. This real life? You talk like you, the elder statesman of black culture, but you forgot we part of that culture too." Katt nodded slowly, eyes locked on DL. "You, the preacher that forgot how to listen to his own sermon." The silence stretched. Somewhere in the crowd, someone whispered, "Damn." It echoed through the microphones. Katt chuckled under his breath, breaking the tension for a second. Boosie looked around the room and said, "You hear that? That's what truth sounded like when it hit." The audience roared again, but this time the laughter wasn't joyful. It was stunned. People couldn't tell if they'd just witnessed a debate or a dismantling. DL's producer in the back motioned for a commercial break, but the host waved him off. The show had become too real to cut away now. Dull leaned closer, his voice low and pointed. "You boys done having your moment?" Katt didn't even flinch. "Our moment? Nah. This your lesson?" Boosie grinned. "Yeah, teacher man. Take notes." And right there, the room broke into chaos. Some people cheered, some booed, others just stared. Dull sat back again, the smirk gone, his eyes hard. But deep down, the message was clear. The authority he'd always carried had been challenged. For the first time, the critic was the one being critiqued. Outside, the internet had already gone into overdrive. Clips were being posted with captions like, "Boosie destroys DL live," and "Katt Williams ends a legend." Fans were debating, defending, attacking, and laughing all at once. Some said DL deserved it. Others said it was cruel. And somewhere, behind all that noise, Dull sat quietly in the green room after the show, staring at the monitor replaying the moment over and over, wondering if this time he'd gone too far, or not far enough. The air outside the studio buzzed like static, the kind that lingers after a storm. The audience had spilled out onto the street, still arguing over what they'd just witnessed. Some were laughing, replaying Boosie's sharp one-liners, while others defended DL, saying he'd been ambushed. Inside, the crew tried to calm the chaos, but the tension clung to the walls like smoke. DL sat alone in his dressing room, staring at his reflection under the harsh fluorescent lights. His face, usually confident and composed, looked tired. The man who always had the last word had nothing left to say. On social media, the explosion had already begun. Every platform was flooded with clips from the live broadcast. Hashtags like DL Humbled and Katt and Boosie were trending across timelines. Fans dissected every frame, zooming in on DL's expression when Katt delivered that final line. One clip showed Boosie pointing at him, shouting, "You forgot who you talking to!" That became a meme within minutes. Others slowed down Katt's smirk, adding captions like, "The moment he knew it was over." The internet had turned the confrontation into a cultural event, and everyone wanted to take sides. In another room, Katt Williams leaned back in his chair, sipping tea like nothing had happened. "You think he'll respond?" someone from his team asked. Katt chuckled softly. "He always does. Critics can't stand silence. It's like air to them." Boosie, still hyped from the confrontation, paced the floor. "Man, that felt good. Been holding that in for years. He been talking down on rappers like we the reason for the world's problems." Katt nodded, his tone calm but sharp. "That's the thing about men like DL. They think speaking good grammar makes them gods. But truth don't wear a suit." Boosie laughed so hard he nearly dropped his phone. "Yeah, well, tonight, Truth came in sneakers and told him to sit down." Meanwhile, DL's phone buzzed nonstop. Text after text poured in from other comedians, producers, and even a few old friends. Some were supportive, others blunt. One message read, "You let them corner you, bro. You should have walked off." Another said, "Maybe it's time to switch lanes. People tired of lectures." He scrolled through the comments under the trending clips. "He finally got what he deserved," one read. Another, harsher, said, "DL just got baptized by Katt and Boosie. Welcome to the real world." He turned off the phone and sat in silence, the sound of laughter from the studio hallway echoing faintly through the door. Later that night, DL went live on his own account. His tone calm but with that edge of defensiveness fans recognized. "Let me be clear," he said. "I don't run from conversations. I speak truth, and if people don't like hearing it, that's on them. I'm not here to make everybody comfortable." But his voice lacked the same conviction it usually carried. Comments flooded the live chat. "Cap," someone wrote. "Boosie ended you," another said. "Why you sound nervous?" The chat scrolled too fast to read. DL's jaw tightened. "I'm not here to entertain clowns," he snapped before ending the stream abruptly. The reaction only made things worse. Every blog picked up the clip within minutes. Headlines screamed things like, "DL melts down live after Katt and Boosie takedown," and fans say DL's reign is over. Podcasters, influencers, and even fellow comedians started weighing in. Some defended him, calling it an unfair ambush. Others said it was poetic justice. Katt and Boosie hadn't even responded yet, but they didn't need to. The internet had already decided who won. The next morning, radio shows were replaying the confrontation. Hosts debated whether DL had crossed a line in his past commentary that made this blowback inevitable. One caller said, "He's been disrespecting our artist for years, acting like he's the only voice that matters." Another caller fired back, "Nah, Katt and Boosie went too far. There's a line between calling someone out and ganging up on them." The argument raged for hours. The culture was split right down the middle. Boosie, on the other hand, was loving every second. He posted a short clip of himself laughing in his car, saying, "They wanted real talk. They got it." Fans flooded his comments with fire emojis. Katt remained silent publicly, but those who knew him said that silence was louder than any punchline. It meant he knew he'd hit the mark. That evening, a producer from another show reached out to all three men, hoping to bring them together for a peace talk special. Boosie agreed immediately, saying, "I ain't got no problem pulling up again." Katt simply texted back, "Depends on the topic." DL didn't respond at all. The producer sighed, muttering, "Yeah, he's not ready yet." Behind closed doors, DL's team was panicking. Brand deals, upcoming appearances, and sponsorships were suddenly under review. His manager tried to reassure him. "It'll blow over in a week," he said, but his tone lacked conviction. DL stared at his laptop screen showing the viral numbers climbing higher every hour. "A week?" he said softly. "A week feels like a lifetime in this business." Later that night, Boosie appeared on an Instagram Live with a friend, laughing and replaying the clip from the confrontation. "Look at his face, man. Look," he said between laughs. "That's the face of a man who ain't used to getting checked." The comments went wild, flooding the live with laughter and jokes. Katt eventually joined the live for a brief moment, his smile calm. "We didn't destroy him," he said. "We just showed him what it feels like when truth walks in uninvited." Boosie nodded, raising his cup. To truth. By midnight, the confrontation had taken on a life of its own. Fan-made remixes surfaced. One video edited Boosie's voice into a rap track. Another used Katt's smirk as a reaction meme in thousands of posts. Even celebrities started chiming in. One rapper tweeted, "Boosie said what we all been thinking." Another comedian posted, "You can't check Katt with words. Man's bulletproof with humor." The internet had crowned new heroes, at least for the week. Dal, however, wasn't sleeping. He kept replaying the live broadcast on his laptop, pausing on Katt's face, then Boosie's. Each frame looked like a reminder. At one point, he whispered under his breath, "They think I'm finished. They don't know me." He opened a notepad, started writing, lines, responses, thoughts. But none of them felt right. Everything he typed sounded hollow. For the first time in years, he couldn't find his voice. Outside his window, the city glowed, unaware that one of its loudest voices had gone quiet for the night. The next morning, the city woke up still buzzing from the showdown. News outlets, gossip blogs, and podcast clips filled every timeline. Barbershops, coffee counters, and Twitter threads turned into battlegrounds of opinion. Some called it the night the legend fell. Others claimed it was proof that even sharp tongues can be silenced. Dale Hughley's face was everywhere. Screenshots of him mid-sentence. Headlines twisting every frame into a symbol of defeat. The man who once held entire rooms captive with his words now found himself dissected by the very culture he helped shape. Meanwhile, Katt Williams was miles away, sitting in his quiet living room, phone buzzing nonstop. He scrolled through the mentions, unread messages, and media requests. He smirked when he saw one headline that read, "Katt Williams finally gets revenge." He whispered under his breath, "Revenge ain't the word. Correction is." His assistant asked from across the room, "You gonna do interviews?" Katt shook his head. "Nah. Let the noise talk for me. Truth don't need promotion." He set his phone face down and went back to sipping his tea, calm as if he hadn't just shaken the internet. Boosie, on the other hand, was the opposite. He was already live again, shouting and laughing with fans. "Man, I ain't even mean for it to go that far," he said with a grin. "But you can't keep talking down on people and expect everybody to stay quiet." "This the new world? We talk back now." His comments filled up instantly. Some people praised him. Others accused him of bullying. He laughed it off. "Say what you want, but I said what everybody been thinking. I just ain't scared to say it out loud." Back at DL's house, the atmosphere was heavy. His wife quietly made coffee while he sat on the couch, watching reruns of his old shows. Moments where he made the crowd laugh, where his voice carried power and certainty. It all felt like a lifetime ago. He turned the TV off and sat in silence. The phone rang again. His manager. "We need to talk," the voice said, low and uneasy. "Networks are getting nervous. One's already considering pulling next week's appearance." DL rubbed his temples. "So that's it? One viral clip and they start running?" The manager hesitated. "You know how it works. Perception moves faster than truth." DL didn't answer. He already knew that line. He'd said it himself countless times before, about other people. He decided to go out, maybe clear his head. But when he stepped outside, reality hit harder than he expected. Paparazzi flashes blinded him, and one shouted, "Dull! You gonna respond to Katt?" Another yelled, "Boosie says you forgot your roots. Any comment?" He kept walking, pretending not to hear, but the noise followed him all the way to his car. Inside, he sat for a long moment before turning the key. Meanwhile, producers at late-night shows saw an opportunity. One called Katt's team, offering him a primetime slot. Another reached out to Boosie for a follow-up segment. Both declined, saying the moment spoke for itself. That silence made it even bigger. The mystery only deepened. Everyone wanted to know. Would DL fight back or fade away? 2 days later, he finally made his move. His team set up a special live interview. his chance to reclaim the narrative. The studio was smaller this time, more intimate, lights dimmed low. One camera, one host, and a nervous energy that filled the air. DL sat upright, calm but visibly tense. The host leaned forward. "People say you lost control of the room that night. How do you respond?" DL forced a small smile. "Control is an illusion. I didn't lose control, I let them talk. Sometimes silence teaches more than words." But the internet didn't buy it. The moment the clip dropped, fans accused him of spinning the story. "Man got cooked and now he's philosophizing," one comment said. Another wrote, "Just admit you got checked." The more he tried to explain, the deeper the hole seemed to get. Later that evening, Monique herself posted a cryptic tweet that read, "Truth always circles back, sometimes louder than laughter." Fans lost their minds, connecting it instantly to the ongoing drama. Some said she was taking Katt and Boosie's side. Others argued she was just stirring the pot. But it didn't matter. The internet thrives on speculation, and speculation was now blood in the water. The next morning, Katt's name started trending again after a leaked voice clip surfaced. No one knew who recorded it, but in it, Katt's voice could be heard saying, "You can't keep judging people from a throne built by the same people you critique." The clip exploded instantly. People started quoting it, remixing it, using it as captions. Katt said what needed to be said became the new slogan across social media. DL saw it too. He played the clip on repeat, jaw tightening. "They think they philosophers now," he muttered. His wife placed a hand on his shoulder. "Maybe just take a break," she suggested softly. "Let it blow over." He shook his head. "Breaks are for people who got the luxury of silence. I built a career talking. If I stop now, they'll say it's because I lost." She sighed quietly, knowing there was no convincing him. By the end of the week, the narrative had grown beyond the three of them. Now it was about something bigger, the divide between generations of Black entertainers. The old guard versus the new voices, the polished against the raw. News panels started hosting discussions about it. Even morning shows invited cultural critics to weigh in. One journalist said, "This isn't just about DL Katt and Boosie. It's about who gets to define the truth in Black entertainment today." Another countered, "Truth doesn't belong to anyone. It's whoever's brave enough to say it." Boosie caught wind of that discussion and couldn't help himself. He posted a video saying, "They talking about truth like it's a debate. Truth ain't up for debate. It's reality. And reality don't care about who's got better vocabulary." It went viral again, sparking fresh arguments. Katt still said nothing publicly, but his silence spoke volumes. His calmness made him look like the mastermind, while Boosie was the voice of fire. And DL, he was painted as the fallen figure trying to climb back up. That night, a clip surfaced that nobody expected. Behind-the-scenes footage from the original confrontation leaked. It showed Katt and Boosie laughing just minutes before going live, talking quietly about setting the record straight. Some took it as proof that the whole thing was planned. Others said it didn't matter. Real or not, it exposed something raw. Even DL's supporters couldn't fully defend him anymore. "Maybe it was staged," one tweet said. But that reaction wasn't. You can't fake that look in his eyes. By then, the story had grown too big to contain. Fan edits, t-shirts, remixes, think pieces, it was everywhere. Comedians on podcasts joked about pulling a Katt whenever someone got roasted too hard. Rappers started referencing the moment in lyrics. Late-night hosts cracked jokes about it in monologues. What started as a single heated argument had turned into a cultural turning point, and whether Dal liked it or not, he had become the symbol of the critic dethroned. But somewhere beneath all the noise, a quieter story was forming. Katt was beginning to feel the weight of the chaos too. During a late-night call with Boosie, he said softly, "You know what's wild? We didn't even mean to destroy him. Just wanted to make him listen." Boosie sighed. "Yeah, but once the internet grabs something, you can't control how it spins." Katt nodded. "Truth never comes clean. It comes with echoes." Outside his window, the world kept buzzing, but inside, he knew something deeper had shifted, not just for DL, but for all of them. 3 weeks had passed, yet the echoes of that night refused to fade. What began as a fiery on-air clash had turned into a cultural firestorm, spreading across talk shows, podcasts, radio segments, and social media debates that refused to die down. It wasn't just about Doll Hughley anymore. It had evolved into a question about legacy, power, and who really got to speak for the culture. Every time it looked like the story would cool off, a new clip, a new comment, or a new reaction pulled it right back into the spotlight. Doll tried to keep a low profile, but everywhere he went, the air felt different. People didn't greet him with the same energy. Fans who once rushed up asking for selfies now stared at him like they were seeing someone from another time, someone they weren't sure still mattered. At comedy clubs, the laughter felt cautious. He could sense the curiosity behind every giggle. Would he talk about Katt? Would he mention Boosie? Would he address the humiliation? One night, after a small show in Atlanta, Doll walked backstage to find an envelope sitting on his table. Inside was a handwritten note. It was from Katt. "We never wanted to bury you," it read. "We wanted to remind you the mic belongs to everyone, not just the loudest voice." DL stared at it for a long time, unsure how to take it, an olive branch or a final jab. Later that week, Boosie went live again, laughing as he addressed the never-ending debate. "Y'all still talking about that night?" he said between chuckles. "Man, that was weeks ago. I said my piece. If dude want to talk, he know where I'm at. But let's not pretend we started this. He been throwing shade at rappers for years." The comments flooded in instantly, half cheering, half scolding. Boosie's laughter filled the room. But when the live ended, even he sat quietly for a moment. The chaos had been good for clicks. Sure, but somewhere inside, it started feeling heavier than he expected. Meanwhile, Katt made a surprise appearance at a small comedy spot in Los Angeles. The crowd went silent when he stepped on stage, unsure what to expect. He stood there for a long pause, then said calmly, "Truth don't need applause. It just needs time." The audience cheered, though not as loudly as usual. It wasn't comedy that night. It was reflection. Katt spent the next 15 minutes talking about ego, pride, and how fame makes men forget to listen. He never said DL's name, but everyone knew who he meant. When he walked off stage, the room stayed quiet long after he was gone. Back in his home office, Doll scrolled through the endless flood of commentary. Some people were still mocking him. Others had moved on, but a few were starting to speak differently. "Maybe DL had a point," one comment said under a viral post. "He just lost control of the room, that's all." Another wrote, "It's wild. One bad night and people act like decades of work vanish. Culture gotta stop eating its own." Those few voices gave him pause. Maybe it wasn't all over. Maybe he could still write the ending himself. His daughter called that evening. "Daddy," she said softly, "people forget. Then they move on. But you taught me something. You always said you can't fight noise with more noise. Maybe it's time to speak from the heart, not from the head." Her words hit deeper than any headline ever could, so he decided to do something no one expected. He invited Katt and Boosie for a private sit-down. No cameras, no audience, just conversation. The offer went out quietly. Katt agreed first. "I'm not here to argue," he said over the phone. "I'm here to listen." Boosie hesitated, but eventually replied, "All right, long as it's real." The meeting took place in a small lounge at a neutral venue, quiet and dimly lit. When Katt walked in, he greeted Doll with a nod. Boosie followed, arms folded, still carrying that mix of confidence and suspicion. For a few moments, no one spoke. Then DL broke the silence. "You know, I watched that clip more times than I should have. And yeah, I didn't like how it went. But maybe I needed to see it." Katt leaned back. "Ego don't die easy, brother. We all got it." Boosie nodded. "Truth is, we ain't against you. We just tired of being talked about like we the problem." DL exhaled slowly. "Maybe I was too focused on being right instead of being real." What followed wasn't loud or dramatic. It was honest. The three men talked for nearly 2 hours about the business, the industry, the stereotypes, and how quickly the world pits them against each other for entertainment. There were moments of tension, moments of laughter, and even a few quiet seconds that felt like healing. No one apologized directly, but they didn't have to. The silence between them did the work. Afterward, Katt stood up and said with a faint smile, "Ain't no villains here. Just men with microphones and too many cameras pointed at us." Boosie clapped DL on the shoulder. Next time you got something to say about us, call first. Don't broadcast it. DL smiled faintly. Deal. They left without a handshake, but with something better, mutual understanding. The next morning, a fan at a diner posted a photo of the three men walking out of that lounge together. It went viral in hours. The caption simply read, "Grown men talkin'. Maybe there's hope after all." Comments flooded in. Fans surprised, impressed, even emotional. "This the kind of energy we need," one said. "Not beef, but balance." A few days later, DL released a short video. He didn't name names or defend himself. He just said, "Sometimes you gotta be humbled to hear what you've been missing. I still stand by what I believe, but I learned something too. Voices change, and that's not a bad thing. We all evolve." The clip spread quietly but powerfully, earning respect even from those who once mocked him. Katt shared it with a single word: growth. Boosie reposted it too, adding, "Real men talk it out." The culture started to shift again, slower this time, softer. The jokes died down. The memes faded. What remained was a conversation about unity, respect, and how fame can blind even the wisest voices. The internet had finally moved on. But it left behind a strange kind of lesson. That sometimes, humiliation isn't the end of a story. It's the mirror that forces a man to look closer. By the time the noise settled, Dahl was back on stage. Smaller crowd, dimmer lights, but his voice was steady again. He opened with a simple line. "I've been quiet for a while, but don't worry, I heard everything." The audience laughed, not mockingly, but warmly. And somewhere in that laughter, you could feel the shift. Not redemption exactly, but something like it. A reminder that even in a world built on headlines and hashtags, a man's story isn't over until he decides it is. And that's where the story stands. Three giants of the game, three different voices. One unforgettable moment that shook the culture. What started as a clash of egos turned into a lesson on pride, truth, and growth. No matter whose side you're on, you can't deny it exposed something real about the industry and the way we handle conflict in the spotlight. Fans are still debating what really happened that night. Was it karma, a setup, or just a rare moment of honesty caught live? Everyone's got their own version, but one thing's clear. Nobody left that stage the same. So now we turn it to you. What do you think? Did Katt and Boosie go too far? Or did Deal finally get the check he'd been avoiding? Do you think they were right to confront him live? Or should it have stayed behind closed doors? Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell us whose side you're on. And if you made it this far, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe for more exclusive breakdowns. And turn on notifications so you never miss the next big drama shaking up the culture. Because in a world where every mic is live and every moment can go viral, one thing's for sure: the story is never really over.